profit. ATF can't really define what that means. You sell one gun to your cousin, made $10, made $50 on the sale of a gun. 2 guns to someone, 10 guns. In fact, they couldn't even tell the court how it works, this new definition. When you make up the rules as you go, bad things happen.
Before we dive in, make sure you like this video, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss the truth the mainstream media refuses to tell.
We'll begin the hearing with opening statement. Chair recognizes himself. Government's not supposed to change the rules without a vote of Congress. Executive branch executes the laws. The legislative branch passes the laws. But when you bypass that format, which is exactly what the ATF has done, you get all kinds of bad things. First, it was the pistol brace rule. November 26, 2012, the ATF told the inventor of the pistol brace, quote, he would not be subject to the National Firearms Act. But last year, they changed the rule. After 12 years, changed the rule. The rule, by the way, the pistol brace was put together to help disabled veterans be able to shoot, be able to practice and shoot at the range. Now, with the rule change, if you don't turn it in, get rid of it, you become a felon. Then it was a policy change that the ATF enacted. The ATF now says if a federal firearms licensee makes a mistake on a form, even if it's a clerical mistake, well, that now equals a, quote, willful falsifying of records, and they could lose their license. In fact, 157 FFLs lost their license last year in this gotcha game that the ATF is playing with people who are in the business of selling firearms. And the pressure to deal with what the ATF comes out and finds you made some mistake on a form, many people are just voluntarily giving up their FFL. 24 in 2021, 69 in 2022, 80 people last year gave up their license versus dealing with the hassle from the agency that's supposed to help them comply, not put them out of business. And finally, there's the new definition of who actually needs a federal firearms license. Since 1968, the definition said it had to be your principal livelihood in the business of selling firearms. You needed that. If you were doing that, you needed an FFL. But this past Monday, new definition was put in place. It said if you're earning a profit, ATF can't really define what that means. You sell one gun to your cousin, made $10, made $50 on the sale of a gun. 2 guns to someone, 10 guns. In fact, they couldn't even tell the court how it works, this new definition. When you make up the rules as you go, bad things happen. You lose your livelihood for a clerical error. You become a felon for having a pistol brace they told you was legal for 12 years. And you might even get shot. That's what happened to Brian Malinowski just 2 months ago. We have Brian's widow with us today. She was here with us yesterday. Heard some powerful testimony from U.S. Attorney Bud Cummings, who represents the Malinowski family. In fact, I'm going to read from Mr. Cummings' testimony that he gave in this room yesterday. It's legal to buy, trade, and sell guns without a federal firearms license if you are a collector or hobbyist. But at some point, the ATF decided that Brian Malinowski had crossed a murky line, and he was no longer a hobbyist. Because of that, ATF concluded he was required to purchase a $200 federal firearms license before he sold any more guns. I call it murky because there is no bright line test. It's truly subjective. But one thing seems certain. Brian Malinowski received no warning. His family, his friends, his work colleagues would all guarantee you he loved his career and he would have never knowingly jeopardized it over a weekend hobby. His real job, his main job, the only job, was he ran the Bill and Hillary Clinton Airport in Little Rock, Arkansas, highest paid official in the municipal government, made $260,000 a year. But on March 19th at 6:01 a.m., over 1 hour before sunup, 10 carloads of ATF agents and Little Rock Police Department officers came to the Malinowski home to execute their search warrant. not an arrest warrant, search warrant. At 6:02:46 a.m., ATF agents in full SWAT gear approached the front door. They had a piece of tape ready to cover the camera lens of the doorbell camera, which they did. Next, Mrs. Malinowski heard only a loud crash as her front door caved in. Her husband, Brian, woke up to the sound of the crash, found a pistol, loaded a magazine, and left the bedroom to investigate. Brian warned his wife to stay behind in the bedroom, but Mayor stubbornly followed him down the hallway. The ATF apparently killed electricity to the home. The front room was usually well lit at night, but Mrs. Malinowski saw only darkness as she peered down towards the front entryway. She could only see shadowy outlines of presumed home invaders standing in her front hallway. That's what Brian saw too. Brian fired a few shots at the intruders' feet to drive them back out of the front door. The ATF shot Brian in the head. His wife was standing inches away from him. A mere 57 seconds. 57 seconds elapsed from the time agents covered the doorbell camera until gunshots erupted and Brian was fatally wounded. 6:02:46 to 6:03:43. Agents immediately dragged Mrs. Malinowski into the front yard. She was barefoot, wearing minimal night clothing, and the temperature was 34 degrees. They locked her in the back seat of a car and detained her there for 4 hours, refusing her many requests to check on her husband she had just seen shot, wouldn't allow her to get close or even use the neighbor's bathroom. Even though policies have been in place at both the ATF and the Little Rock Police Department for the past 3 years, requiring the use of body-worn cameras when executing any search warrant, the Department of Justice tells us that no body cameras were used. If this isn't the weaponization of government, I don't know what is. I don't know what is. Mr. Dettelbach, we're going to have questions about this and a host of other things the ATF has done under your watch. A host of other things. We appreciate you being here today. We appreciate you taking our questions, but there's going to be tough questions from folks on our side. And we have a video I'd like to show, which just so it's a minute and a half, but it first shows ATF agents assembling in the Walmart parking lot a week before March 19th, when they were going to execute this search warrant. Again, pre-dawn hours a week before, but decided not to because they realized Mr. Malinowski wasn't home. And then it shows what happened a week later as they approached the Malinowski home. So let's run the video. Chair now recognizes the ranking member.
Now listen to this. The ATF, an unelected agency, is out here changing gun laws without a single vote from Congress. They were created to enforce the law, not to make it. But they've decided they're the lawmakers now. First, they came after pistol braces, devices designed to help disabled veterans shoot safely. For over a decade, those braces were perfectly legal. Then, suddenly, they changed the rule. And now, millions of law-abiding Americans are facing felony charges for owning something the government told them was fine. Then they went after gun dealers. The ATF started revoking licenses over small clerical errors, honest mistakes, calling them willful falsifications. They've destroyed hundreds of livelihoods and forced good people to walk away from their businesses just to avoid the harassment. And now they've even redefined what it means to be a gun dealer. If you sell one gun for a profit, they can claim you're in the business and should have a federal license. That's how out of control this has gotten. And then comes the tragic story of Brian Malinowski, a respected man, an airport executive, gunned down in his own home during an early morning ATF raid. They called it a search warrant, but within 57 seconds of breaking in, Brian was dead. His wife was left outside barefoot in the cold for hours, while the agents who killed her husband refused to even let her check on him. No body cameras, no accountability. This is what the weaponization of government looks like. A federal agency acting like judge, jury, and executioner, punishing citizens for rules Congress never passed. This isn't about safety, it's about control. It's about using fear and intimidation to crush freedom-loving Americans who dare to exercise their Second Amendment rights. If you believe in the Constitution, if you believe in liberty, it's time to speak up. Like this video, share it with every patriot you know, and don't forget to subscribe, because the fight for freedom starts with awareness, and we're not backing down.